So the second episode of The Mandalorian has been released on Disney Plus, and I have to say I have some mixed feelings on it. I'm a little disappointed on one hand, on the other hand, I found it quite enjoyable. So before we get into that though, I just want to make it very clear, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen it, keep that in mind while you're watching the video, and if you are watching this video, please give it a like button, and if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate that. So without further ado, here we go. First and foremost, this episode just felt very short. It just was very streamlined. It was simplified to the point where this is basically what happened. It takes place right after the last episode leaves off, with the Mandalorian finding the asset, which is Baby Yoda. He's really adorable, he's really cute, and this Baby Yoda does steal the show. There's this one part that happens that I'm gonna talk about later, but first off, this is basically what happens. They find each other, then they're going off somewhere, and then there's these other bounty hunters try to attack them, and then they go back to their ship, and these Jawas are tearing apart his ship, and so he has to go back to the one guy who says, "I have spoken," every other line. But he guides them to the Jawas and tries to make peace, and they say like, "Oh, if you do this one thing for us, then we'll give you back the rest of the parts." And so what do they have to do? They have to get an egg. And, like, what kind of egg? Oh, well, it's this big space rhino egg. He goes in, he fights the space rhino, because he's trying to get the space rhino egg, and he's about to get killed, because it's a space rhino, and they took away most of his weapons, so all he really has is, like, a knife and his grapple hook. And then Baby Yoda, out of nowhere, intervenes and just uses the Force. Uses the Force, as we kind of expected to happen, to lift up the rhino. And then the Mandalorian is just standing there like, huh? Like any other normal person would do in that situation. Then the Baby Yoda faints, and the rhino gets back, and then he just stabs him once in the neck, and that just kills him. Because that's how it works, I guess. Then he takes the rhino egg and gives it back to the Jawas, and then they just open it up like a coconut and just eat all the yolk. It's like, okay. And then there's this montage of him and the other guy fixing up his ship, and then he fixes it and he says, "Okay, bye." Then he goes off and flies away, and that's basically what happens. I mean, it sounded short, but yeah, that's what happened. You know, honestly, like, for me, that was a little disappointing to leave off on, because that didn't feel like a full episode. It just felt like the second part of the first episode. I wish, like, it was one long episode. You know why the summary of this was so short? Is because the episode was really short. I mean, it says on Disney Plus that it's 32 minutes long, but that's not if you account for the minute of logos at the beginning and the 40-second recap, which, why did we need a recap for something that we saw 3 days ago? I think it's pretty fresh in our minds at that point. And then at the end, there's 4 or 5 minutes of credits. Adding that up, that's about 5 to 6 minutes, and you're left with a 27-minute episode. And to me, that's a little too short for a series like this. But I like seeing the concept art that they had at the end, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't need it to take 4 minutes of the runtime of the episode. It's just, it kind of just fluffs it up a bit. And I guess in a way, this episode was a fluff episode, and that's kind of disappointing, because I want each and every single episode to matter. I want each episode to count for something. Like, this half-hour structure thing isn't really doing it for me. It feels really rushed in a way. Not too rushed, but it just, they're dividing it up in weird chunks where it just really is just gonna equate to what, like 3-4 hours of content that you could binge in 2 seconds. Maybe that's why they have it weekly, but to me, that's why it was kind of unsatisfying, because on one hand, I thought Baby Yoda was very adorable, really cute, but then I took a second to really think about it, and I was like, wait a minute, if I'm gonna be upset that Rey is not being trained at all, like, how is she so great at everything, then I have to apply that same logic to the Baby Yoda, because Baby Yoda, like Rey, didn't go to Dagobah for training. They just had the Force and just knew how to use it. I don't know how. Maybe there's some explanation for it. Maybe there's not. But either way, it just seems like there is a lot that is to be had in the later episodes. I think there's a lot more that can happen, a lot more that should happen. I think that just really taking the time to just split it up into as many parts as possible. And to me, I don't really like that. I would have liked a more cohesive story in that regard, because this felt like just like a little chunk of a story. It didn't have like a real beginning, middle, end or anything like that. It felt like not necessarily filler, but it felt like it was just sort of there. And I understand why it was there. That's okay. I just wish it was part of the first episode, or part of a different episode because it just felt like I didn't really feel like I got a full episode. I didn't feel like I got a full story, but it still looks great, sounds great, characters are great. I'm enjoying this, but at the same time, I'm kind of skeptical because I definitely don't think that this is a big masterpiece by any means that everyone kind of thought it was going to be. That being said, I did enjoy it. I had a good time with it. I thought there were cool action sequences that were really well choreographed. All this really is Baby Yoda just being Baby Yoda and just showing off that he has the Force, which, I mean, we kind of figured because it's a Yoda species. Even in the EU, they all had some sort of Force sensitivity. I think something with the Yoda species makes them much more powerful with the Force than any other kind of species in the Star Wars universe. That makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, where did you learn this? Did you just, like, have the Force there and it's just, you already know how to use it? And how does this work? Is Baby Yoda gonna be a baby for another 50 years or so after the Mandalorian is dead and everyone else is dead in Return of the Jedi? It makes sense Yoda's 900 years old. That kind of equates to like maybe 10 years for a Yoda species is a year for humans. That would make Baby Yoda 5 years old or something. He doesn't really act like a 5-year-old, but I mean, you know, whatever. Maybe there's something else in the next episode. I'm gonna hold off, you know, saying that this series is just garbage or something before I'd see the rest of it. There's still a lot of promising things to have from it, but what is he gonna do? He's just gonna take the asset back, bring him back to Carl Weathers or Werner Herzog, and that's gonna be it. And also, I thought there was supposed to be some female character here that was supposed to be prominent. I'm guessing she's in the next episode because she wasn't in this one or the one before, so what's the point of hyping her up if she's not important yet? Maybe that's to come. I hope so, because right now it just seems like this is going in a direction, like, it's surprising and everything, but it's just, it needs to have a better flow to it. I just want more to happen, because right now in this episode, I don't really think very much happened. We just need an excuse to see Baby Yoda do something amazing, because the Yoda species are amazing, and that's all it really felt like to me, and that was kind of disappointing. So anyways, that's what I think of it. I'm sure that I have more thoughts on this that I'm going to be thinking about throughout the next few days and the next week until the next episode comes out, but I am looking forward to it, and let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of it. And thank you all so much for checking out this video. Make sure you like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. I greatly appreciate that, and I just want to thank each and every single one of my proper compadres for all of their support that they've shown me so far. Thank you all so much, and as always, have a great day.